My interest in short-term memory developed during my first job, which was at the Applied Psychology Unit in Cambridge. I'd had a year in the States and came back wanting to do research on rats, but couldn't get a PhD place or a job to do that, and was offered a job doing research on how to develop memorable postal codes. I was supervised by someone called Conrad, who was a brilliant applied psychologist, but was also interested in short-term memory. He discovered that if you give someone a string of letters to remember, then even if you present them visually, it's the sound of the letters that matters. So a sequence like B, G, T, V, C is much harder than a sequence like K, W, R, Q, Y. So he was interested in short-term memory. I was working on long-term memory. But I also wanted to ask a theoretical question, which was, does it have to be phonological? Does it have to be sound similarity? Or will any similarity have the same effect? Because at that time, most of psychology thought similarity was important, but it didn't matter too much what kind of similarity. So I combined similarity of sound with similarity of meaning. My subject would hear something like man, cap, hat, tap, rat, or cow, day, pen, hut, so. Similar sequence, the Madman Max, was hugely more difficult. But was that just any kind of similarity? Well, I tried with sequences of similarity of meaning. So huge, big, long, wide, tall, and they had no problem. At that time, people were becoming very interested in whether there was more than one kind of memory. So I thought, let's see what happens if I use long lists and have my subjects learn. And what I found was that the whole thing flipped over. So meaning became crucial and sound unimportant. And that got me into the whole area of the difference between long and short-term memory. In response to this, there was a claim that perhaps there needed to be two kinds of memory, short-term and long-term. And initially, a lot of the action was concerned with whether forgetting was due to trace decay, a gradual fading of the memory trace, or active interference between competing traces. In fact, that's not really proved to be so far all that fruitful. People are still disagreeing about it 50-odd years ago, later. But it was really at the heart of the long-term, short-term controversy that first tempted me into looking at short-term memory. The idea, was it different? And of course, my observation that short-term memory seemed to rely on sound, on phonological similarity, and long-term memory on meaning seemed to feed into this controversy. I was allowed to switch from the applied project to a theoretical one, and I've been doing work on long and short-term memory ever since.